rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Well, as if they really needed anything. You know, sometimes when I come up with a title for the show, there's times where it's just, things are so absurd or so messed up that I just can't come up with anything like super creative. So, yeah. Anyway, that's where we are with the, more leftist insanity, which is, yeah, let's just put it that way. It's, sometimes you just got to shake your head and go, what the, anyway. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Tonight is, Fat Paws. Fat Paws is up for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. So, if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hats if you're wearing one like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with Fat Paws as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Fat Paws, for that forceful rendition of the pledge. Oh, I didn't hear that the first few times that we played it. He was very forceful in those words, strong. Yeah. Anyway, nice work there, sir. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing or reciting the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file that you create, attach it to an email, or you can do as Buddy Weiser used to always say, share it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation. I'm at 19. I need number 20. I like even numbers, as I always say. I like even numbers. All right, let's move on to our headliner sponsor, which is, oh, goodness, I don't have it up. Hold on. Here we go. TheFlagShirt.com. That's right, TheFlagShirt.com. They have a bunch of patriotic styles. Look at these that are on the screen here. We've got 3/4 zips. They've got hoodies in the fantastic red, white, and blue. You can go and check them all out. Check out all the men's, women's, kids, made in the USA, all kinds of featured brands, accessories in red, white, and blue, too, all at theflagshirt.com. And if you order $75 or more of their product, they will provide you with free shipping. But I know not everybody can do $75 or more at one singular sitting. Maybe it's just that you only want one item. You don't want more than just one. Or maybe things are a little tight this month. You had to spend a little extra money on something. Well, that's okay. That's perfectly fine because I have something for you with regards to that. All you need to do is head over to flagshirt.americanperspective.online in your browser. And once you are there, you'll be presented with a coupon code that you can copy and paste into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com and get yourself $5 off your order on American Perspective. Go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online You'll be presented with a coupon code. Copy and paste that into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com. And that will get you or net you $5 off your order. Go to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. Uh-oh, looks like I have a birthday song to sing at the end of the show. Anyway. Well, the House Democrats, of course, you know, I don't understand the Democrats, or at least I should say a group of Democrats. Now, there are some Democrats, believe it or not, like John Fetterman, who actually are doing decent things now that he's got his mind right, who are actually doing decent things. But there still is groups of them who are just doing things that are unexplainable, is the best way to put it, the nicest way to put it. But 58 House Democrats voted today against a resolution honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. Well, the House passed anyway with bipartisan support outside of course, those 58 Dems. So they adopted a resolution to honor the life and legacy of late conservative activist, murdered conservative activist Charlie Kirk on Friday, just over a week after he was murdered. The measure got bipartisan support in a 310 to 58 vote, both Democrats and Republicans having quickly risen to condemn political violence in the wake of Kirk's assassination. And these are the same Democrats who couldn't stand up for a young kid battling cancer during the president's speech. Anyway, so the vote divided the Democrats, though. 95 of the Democrats voted to adopt the resolution, 58 voting against it, and 22 not voting at all. So 38 Democrats also voted present on the resolution. And, the top three House Democrats, including Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, the Whip Catherine Clark, and Caucus Chairman Pete Aguilar, all voted in favor of the measure, which is kind of surprising. But anyway, the House Democratic leadership did not expressly tell their caucus how to vote on the resolution, but communicated that they would support it, according to two sources familiar with the discussion. So there you go. Anyway, I mean, I don't understand why they can't. I mean, why? Well, what's the point? The man was murdered in cold blood. And regardless of the politics or the reasons behind it or anything else, and I mean, we all know that it was done in the name of political violence. But that being said, I mean, why would you not support something like this? Why would you? I mean, that should have been a resounding 100%. So, yeah, I don't understand why these people can't, essentially can't, like, I don't know. They just have no decency left. There's no decency left in leftist Democrats, for sure, for all of that. Well, that being the case, the House also passed a Trump-backed plan. Oh, excuse me. A Trump-backed plan to avert a government shutdown. The Senate apparently is supposed to try and pass the bill before October 1st. But I have a feeling, and I don't know why I didn't bring this up, but let me take a look here. Oh. It's the same article that I was just on. So let's see. Yeah, the House passed a short-term federal funding bill, because again, September 30th is the deadline, which I don't even understand this. Why can these people not get federal funding running properly? I just don't know. It doesn't make sense. But the federal funding in the House passed along party lines for the most part, 217 to 212. Two Republicans, Victoria Sparks from Indiana and, of course, Thomas Massie of Kentucky, voted against the measure. You know, Massey's one of those that he's like, he's worse than the enemy. Anyway, just one singular Democrat, Jared Golden from Maine, voted in favor of it. And anyway, fiscal 2025 is slated to end on September 30th, and Congress risks a partial shutdown if the CR does not make it to Trump's desk for a signature by that point. So in addition to keeping the government open until just before Thanksgiving, the legislation also included an added $30 million boost to boost lawmaker security through a mutual aid fund for Capitol law enforcement and local police. That decision was made as concerns over political violence have skyrocketed in recent months. By the way, speaking of that, reports from a couple of different people was that there was a Republican lawmaker who had his house shot at one point. So, you know, political acts of violence seem to be on the rise. I wonder why. Anyway, it's not good. Not good at all. But anyway, Democrat leaders had threatened for days to oppose the bill, infuriated over being left out of the negotiations and demanding increased funding for healthcare subsidies. I still to this day, regardless of how many times I've said it on social media, I still have not received anyone who can explain to me where, under Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution, it states that healthcare is a mandatory responsibility of the federal government. I still haven't found it, and nobody has been able to, like, explain that to me. The reason being, of course, is that nobody can. It doesn't exist. It really, literally does not exist. You can sit there and thumb through the whole dang thing in about 15 minutes, read the entire Constitution in like 15 minutes, and I guarantee you're not going to find the word healthcare anywhere within it. So I don't even know why, but anyway. So yeah, Jeffries, of course, was talking about it like up to an hour before the vote. They keep saying they want to stand up for healthcare of the American people. I'm trying to grasp. I really am trying to grasp and understand where they get these ideas that that essentially that healthcare is a federal government responsibility. It really isn't. Anyway, Schumer also in the Senate, by the way, where at least several Democrat votes are needed to meet the 60 vote threshold, and that's the thing, and it's that not veto proof, but that's the filibuster majority. So they got to be able to advance it. So they need 60 votes. And Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is under significant pressure from the left flank, that would be the leftists, to buck this bill. Now, of course, Schumer is already in trouble. Schumer is already in trouble because back in March, he cast a key vote to help avert a government shutdown from the last continuing resolution that we had. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to have to see what's going on. And of course, the leftist lunatic Democrats are out there trying to say that this is the Republicans are shooting for a shutdown. They're not shooting for a shutdown. Let's just put this to bed right now. The Republicans are not shooting for a shutdown. But at the same time, They also are not going to bend over backwards for the leftist Democrat morons who keep trying to say that our federal government should be funding healthcare when it's not in the Constitution to do so. So anyway, the Senate, by the way, is expected to consider both versions and could take a vote as early as today. I don't know if that's going to happen, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Again, it's just one thing, honestly, one thing after another. Well, as expected and on cue, the more extreme leftists in the Democrat Party have not even bothered to back off of any of their rhetoric. They, of course, don't even recognize the fact that they're not even going to recognize the fact that political violence has increased over the course of the last several years and that it's been coming from the left at all. You know, they apparently either they don't own a mirror or they've got one of those magical Snow White mirrors where, you know, it doesn't tell you doesn't tell you the truth. Or maybe, wait a minute, did Snow White get the truth? Anyway, the point is that the mirror is only going to tell you what it thinks it wants you to hear, I guess. So anyway, or maybe that was a Harry Potter thing. I don't know. But all of that being said, Rashida Tlaib has not backed off in any of her rhetoric. And, well, Byron Donalds, of course, he's a pretty smart guy overall. And I got to tell you, he kind of sort of had a bit of a problem with something that Rashida Tlaib said in this hearing, this House Oversight Committee hearing yesterday. So let's just take a listen to what Rashida Tlaib was saying and why it kind of pissed off Byron Donalds so bad. Here we go.
I don't see it. I don't see what they see. I don't understand why we're allowing that to happen because I actually think it's going to hurt our communities. People are going to look at Washington, D.C. folks in a way that I think is going to be very painful, but also, you know, I don't know, Mr. Jackson. I heard the stories. People didn't leave their homes. They weren't leaving their homes. Businesses didn't see people coming into. I mean, that's what we want in our nation's capital.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna interject here just really quick. What the hell? During COVID, they wanted people to stay in their homes. In fact, they wanted to lock people down. So anyway, let's continue.
Stay in your house. Don't move. Don't go anywhere. Stay fearful. It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Stay in your house. Don't go anywhere. Stay fearful of a virus that was released by China. A China lab leak. Yeah, and they tried to cover all that up, too. Anyway. I'll try and let it play. Here you go.
That my colleagues continue again to eject this narrative and this rhetoric in regards to. But I think it's important, Mr. Chair, just like in D.C.
Okay, wait. She's talking about the rhetoric. Now, keep in mind, she's talking about the National Guard in D.C. And I just want to point out, D.C. crime has dropped dramatically since the National Guard has been deployed in D.C. In fact, for the first time in a very long time, they had one full week without any murders. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry, I digress. I'll try to let her play. Here you go.
Home rule was one out of Black freedom struggle in the fight for civil rights. We can't be passive right now. So nobody over there should take anything we say like so personally as if we're attacking them. No, we're attacking a process, not attacking people here. And I think it's really important. We need to stand up against this fascist takeover. That's not a bad word. It's a fact. And here in DC and across the country, it is so incredibly important, Mr. Chair, that this committee does not allow rhetoric that defames and or paints Washington, D.C. in a way that you all haven't really truly seen. You're just reading it. No, you're just reading it or something off of some.
Will the gentlelady yield to a question?
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Will the gentlelady
No, I don't
yield?
yield. I don't even have time. I can tell you.
Your time's expired.
It is expired, but
Ms.
Mr.
Tlaib,
Chair.
I've been nice.
But you all live
like
here,
Mr.
and
Tlaib.
you're not telling people the beautiful parts that you do see in our
Mr.
nation's
Tlaib.
capital. And no, it's just wrong how we're doing it.
Chairman, I think it's
Wrong.
insane that the
But you're
gentlelady
gonna
doesn't
look
have
at
an
the
argument, but she's going to
Washington, D.C.
refer
as a
to
bunch
me
of
and some of my
criminals. You yield to
colleagues.
Mr.
Mr. Chair,
Donald.
We were
you
from the
know
Third
this.
Reich. This is
You're gonna
insane.
look at
It's
14,
insane.
15-year-olds as
It's
a bunch of
insane.
criminals?
It's insane.
Oh,
Do I look like a
please.
member of the Third Reich to you, Ms.
Please,
Tlaib?
please,
Is that what I look like
please.
to you?
You're the one taking your voting
Is that what
card,
you think?
giving it
Is that
to
what you
somebody,
think?
giving
Is
it
that
a
what you
card.
think?
No, that's unethical.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say. But to say something like that to myself and a lot of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Regular order.
That's okay. But it's okay, right?
That is not how it
It's
goes.
okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
Hold
Washington,
myself
D.C.
accountable?
Mr. Tlaib.
Washington,
Hold
D.C.
your
out
own
of your
self
mouth.
accountable. How
Keep
about
it out of
that?
your mouth.
Hold your own
I'm
self
trying,
accountable.
Mr.
How about
Tlaib.
that?
Free D.C. and make sure you
All right.
vote with your own voting card. Don't be giving it to
Ms.
somebody else.
Tlaib. All right, time. Chair recognizes Ms. Boebert from Colorado. Order. Wait a minute, Ms. Boebert. All right. Order.
Oh my goodness, folks. Let's just let's just understand that Tlaib, I mean, she ignored the fact that time had expired. That's number one. Secondly, why continue to call this fascist? And I'm going to be honest with you, I still can't figure out what exactly it was that she was attempting to try and say, other than, we need to pull the National Guard out of D.C. I'm confused. I'm confused as to her point, what she was trying to say, which is typical of the leftists. Very, very typical. And yeah, I mean, the crime takedown was a fascist takeover. Okay, I just got to ask this question. And maybe there's something that, I don't live in D.C. I've never actually even been to D.C. proper. I've been around it, but I haven't actually been to it. But I haven't heard of any of the National Guard actually going around and arresting people. I haven't actually heard reports of the National Guard going around and just randomly grabbing people off the streets and putting them into jails. I haven't actually heard of the National Guard doing anything other than cleanup. What we in the military used to call policing. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe some smartass went and wrote an article like, oh, here's the National Guard policing the parks. Okay, for those of you who are not military, I'm just going to tell you, when you talk about policing your area, policing your brass, policing whatever, that means clean up after your ass, okay? Clean up after yourself. That's what that means. So if I'm sitting here and I'm saying, hey, I got to go police my bedroom, that means I got to go clean it. Now, granted, it's a little bit of an odd word to necessarily use, but it's a military term, folks. So maybe some leftist lunatic news person heard that the National Guard was policing the parks and thinking that they were there to arrest people or something. I don't know. These people are just, they're so stupid. They're moronic. Well, as we heard earlier this week, Trump has designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. Now, there's been conversations back and forth, first of all, as to whether or not he can actually do that, because technically there isn't really a law that states that he, as the president, can designate a domestic group as a terrorist organization. Now, keep that in mind. That's a domestic group as a terrorist organization. So that would be that it's not a foreign organization, right? A foreign organization. And I'm trying to make this point. I'm stressing foreign and domestic organizations because here, according to Hot Air, the Dutch Parliament. Oh, wait a minute. I thought Antifa was a domestic organization. No. The Dutch Parliament has actually voted to classify Antifa as a terrorist organization. So, real dumb question here, folks. First of all, there was a leftist Democrat lunatic representative who was trying to explain that you can't, that Antifa isn't really a movement, that it doesn't actually exist. Do you remember when, I don't know who said that here recently, but do you remember back in the day where the Penguin said that Antifa didn't exist? It was just an idea. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, and the other argument that they've been making, that a lot of the left has been making, is that no. He doesn't have the power to designate a domestic organization as a terrorist organization. Well, if it were only domestic, how could the Dutch Parliament do it? How could the Dutch Parliament do it? You know, here's an X post right here in the piece that I'm reading from in Hot Air. There's the X post. It says Antifa is not a real group, y'all. They just have a flag, official colors, uniforms, local chapters, meeting places, email signups, and clear directives for members. That sounds like an organization. Yeah, and here's another one. The left, once again, gaslighting the public, claiming that Antifa does not exist. Yeah, sure it doesn't. Yet, we have photos of them in organized fashion with, common clothing and things like that. Yeah. Well, the Dutch apparently doesn't care about tax ID numbers, and their parliament agrees with President Trump that Antifa actually is a thing. Because there it is. They just voted in favor of terror listing Antifa. Now, keep in mind that the vote itself apparently is advisory, and that the bureaucracy over there does have to follow through with the official designation, but the vote clearly indicates that Trump is, once again, correct. Yeah. Yeah. So the Dutch Parliament has decided to, Here's the post from Trump, actually, on True Social, carried over, well, it was retweeted by Vance, I guess. It says, I am pleased to inform our many USA patriots that I am designating Antifa, a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, as a major terrorist organization. I will also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. Thank you for the attention to this matter. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, Antifa is, by the way, very organized, very well funded. The funding itself is reportedly laundered through a bunch of dark web organizations. So it's nearly impossible to find the money trail, but many of them show up armed, well protected, often with multi-$100 gas masks, prepared shields. They're highly mobile. Protesters show up in various parts of the country on a moment's notice. Yeah, I mean, again, really? You think the Antifa is not an organization? That it's just an idea? That it's not an international organization? It's not an organization, but hey, look at this. They have chapters, like the New York City Antifa. I'm telling you, these leftists, they can't get out of their own way. Realistically, they can't get out of their own way. Oh, and like who writes, by the way, who writes and prints these pamphlets that are running around as well? I mean, seriously, I don't know of anybody that isn't organized that doesn't have like these pamphlets and things. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Oh, yeah. Anyway, these people are crazy. They are nuts. And, yeah, academia. They're in academia. They're an entirely, it's, you know, almost entirely a domestic network. Oh, but hey, here, Andy No, who's been attacked by Antifa, physically harmed and attacked. He says, yeah, they maintain links with Antifa in Canada and Europe. I thought it was not an international kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, oh, these leftists, I'm just telling you. Man. Oh, they have literally no clue in terms of what they are even talking about. 9 times out of 10, they have no idea what they are even talking about. All right. Speaking of knowing what you are talking about, I know what I am talking about here. I'm talking about the fact that Rumble is growing fast, and it's not slowing down. Rumble is building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And we're not talking about the free speech that is the type of, oh, you can only hear what you want. Yeah, or, sorry, you can only hear what I want you to hear. This kind of free speech is, it's open to everybody. I mean, Democrats can come over here. You could, hey, Jimmy Kimmel, dude, Jimmy, you want to have an audience? You want to have your free speech? You want to demonstrate that your free speech was not taken from you? Open up a Rumble account and start a channel. Let's see how well you do over here. I've got something on him here in just a minute. But anyway, they're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and protects free speech. And now you can try Rumble Premium. It's an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content that you came for. Like my show. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. All you have to do is go to rumble.com/premium. That's rumble.com/ which is the question mark key on your keyboard, premium, and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout to get that $10 off your annual subscription. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO to get that $10 off your annual subscription. No ads, more freedom, and content that you actually care about, like this show. That's the deal. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO to get that $10 off your annual subscription. Go and do it today. All right. Well, you know, I don't understand why these people don't seem to get this. So I guess ICE started to do some activity in a key immigration building near Chicago, and nearly 100 people showed up to protest. Okay, including a few that kind of took it a little bit too far, like they reportedly slashed tires on ICE vehicles and blocked the ICE vehicles, like standing in front of them. They're trying to block them to keep the federal ICE immigration enforcement folks from leaving. Well, it ended up leading to a confrontation. And that, of course, that confrontation, had gas being put out. And a couple of people actually got tossed to the ground. Now, I'm not laughing because those people got tossed to the ground, although, believe me, it is kind of funny that these people are trying to stand up to these ICE agents, because apparently they don't seem to understand that that is actually against federal law. Like the Democrat representatives found out in New Jersey, I think it was. So anyway, the point here, though, is 3 people got arrested out of the 100 that were there. They got gassed, which is cool, which is par for the course. And Friday's protest included dozens of people carrying American flags, signs with the words "Hands off Chicago." Some people tried to block a car from exiting the facility's yard. They were met with those federal officers deploying the riot gas or tear gas or whatever, and drove the protesters back. So yeah. So there you go. 3 were taken into custody. And here's the thing, and I'm just going to remind everybody. And again, hey, I'm just a truth teller here, folks. I just say the truth. Title 18, U.S. Code, Section 111. Assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers or employees. So here, let me read this to you. Whoever forcibly assaults, resists, opposes, impedes, intimidates, or interferes with any person designated under Section 1114 of this title, which covers pretty much all federal agents, while engaged in or on account of the performance of official duties, shall, where the acts in violation of this section constitute only simple assault, be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 1 year or both. And where such acts involve physical contact with the victim of that assault or the intent to commit another felony, will be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 8 years or both. And of course, if in the act of doing this, the individual uses a deadly or dangerous weapon, including a weapon intended to cause death or danger, but that fails to do so by a reason of a defective component. In other words, if somebody tries to fire a firearm and it doesn't fire, okay, or actually does inflict bodily injury, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. So here's the thing. You can't intimidate, impede, interfere, forcibly assault, resist, oppose, nothing. These people in their actions or in their job functionality, folks. This, I mean, how much more clearer can we make it? This is actually one of the smaller, smaller ones of the U.S. Code that I've actually read. So this is, this is serious. This is just something serious right here. You guys are not supposed to do this. Don't block them. Protest. Yeah, you have that right under the First Amendment to peaceably protest. But the minute that you take it up a notch, it's no longer a peaceable assembly. And you need to be, or when you get to a point where you need to be forcibly removed or moved, that means that you have now broken the law. Title 18. U.S. Code 111. Remember that one. It's pretty easy. It's titled Assaulting, Resisting, or Impeding Certain Officers or Employees. So, there you go, folks. 18 U.S. Code, Section 111. Will get you into jail. And that's exactly what these people are doing. You know, we need to. I think, in a way, there's a lot of these people who are leftists who have been, you know, hands off for so many years because nobody wanted to create a political issue out of it, that they've just kind of like let them go. For an example, the Chaz Chop in Seattle, that should have been shut down quickly and with extreme prejudice. But, you know, they decided to let that go. And by the way, too, these same protesters and everything, apparently, when they were going around, the local police weren't even going to help. The local police department was refusing to take calls and wasn't helping these guys. So you sit here and you wonder why. I mean, this, I can't even imagine why you can't charge those police departments with dereliction of duty, because that's literally what they are hired for. That's literally what they are supposed to be doing, is enforcing the law. And this is a federal law. It should be enforced across all levels. But realistically, I mean, this is going to be continually a problem unless somebody somewhere gets it under control. And that's just the fact of the matter. Well, here's another fact of the matter. So everybody, of course, has been freaking out over this entire thing with Jimmy Kimmel, you know, saying that he talked about it last night. I'm not going to necessarily rehash all of that, but there's been a couple of new developments. Development number one is that ABC and the two affiliate organizations that decided to take the Jimmy Kimmel Show off of their stations prior to ABC suspending it indefinitely have all come out with statements basically saying, no, the federal government did not get involved. We had not heard from the FCC. You know, none of this is government pushed. Now, if we assume that that is correct, which at this point I have no reason not to assume so, if we assume that is correct, that means that ABC by itself as a private corporation decided to suspend indefinitely Jimmy Kimmel. There's more to that story, though. Just like the Colbert firing or cancellation. And here is a good indicator as to why. What I'm showing right now on the screen is the Nielsen Live Plus 7. These are the ratings for 3 shows. Jimmy Kimmel Live, which is in the blue. The Late Show, which was Stephen Colbert's thing, that's in the orange in the middle. And The Tonight Show, which is on the right in the red. Or, well, sorry, it's right above my head. So, it would be your right. So, if you look at these graphs, you can see that, from 2010 to 2025, their ratings have been, well, let's just say dropping off like a slide across all of the shows. So this is the thing, people. You've got to understand. These corporations, any corporation, exists to make money. If you cannot make money in the corporation, then chances are that corporation is going to go under. In the case of broadcasting companies like this, if they cannot get viewership, just like this show, as an example, if I can't entertain and educate and attract a big enough audience, which as of right now, I don't have one, but if I go and I attempt to attract a big audience and be able to successfully market you, the viewers, to advertisers, because these advertisers want to get their products and services in front of as many people as possible in a format as cheaply as possible. Well, it costs money to produce these things. It costs money to produce this video. It takes electricity. It takes, all of the equipment that are dealing with, and the larger audience that you have, and the more people tune in, it takes a lot bigger servers, things like that. I could go through the entire thing for you, but the point is that when ratings start dropping off, advertisers start taking their money away, and the cost of running a show in terms of these bigger shows, the cost starts outweighing the benefit of bringing the money in. When you have that kind of a scenario, then yeah, eventually you're going to get canceled, which is exactly why even those stories, any show goes through this, even the television shows, not necessarily just like talk shows like this, but all television shows, television series, they all do this. When you start losing money, you can no longer support that show, and it's time to move on and find something new such that you can entertain audiences again. So, yeah, there you go. Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Kimmel, by the way, is, or was the middle of the pack here. The Late Show in the last year, the Late Show was the leader. Jimmy Kimmel was behind him. And then the Tonight Show was behind Jimmy Kimmel. But they're all down at the bottom. They're like, Gutfeld, who isn't even on a broadcasting network. Gutfeld beat all of these shows in terms of viewership. So, again, chances are what this really fell down to was the fact that they were considering about cutting his show anyway, and he went ahead and said something stupid. They said, hey, this is a problem. We need to get this fixed. ABC, you need to fix him. And Jimmy Kimmel reportedly decided to double down and was going to go even worse on his next episode, and that's what got him canceled. Not the coincidental communication by the FCC chair at the with regards to going after or potentially enforcing the law or the regulations. This is probably what really got him canceled. And the left doesn't want to accept that because, of course, they don't want to accept truth. Speaking of accepting truth, there was apparently an individual, and I don't know who this is, but let's see. I don't know, this person, I can't even describe him, but this person apparently took to TikTok last spring and wanted to, and since I don't have TikTok, obviously I didn't see this, but this individual went to TikTok and was going to lecture normative people by saying that, hey, if you're a man dating a trans woman, that doesn't make you gay because a trans woman is a woman. This is gymnastics kind of logic. And I can't even understand this. How it's I still can't figure this out. This is a gymnastics act that I can't even catch up here. So a person who hasn't gone through the transition, because let's face it, I mean, if you are surgically changed, then yeah, there might be, you might be able to see things a little bit differently. But if you haven't been surgically altered yet, but yet in your mind, you consider yourself to be a woman and you're in a relationship with another man, that again, it's the logic that doesn't catch to me. I'm having a hard time with this, but anyway, this is the thought process between some of these people. And, yeah. So anyway, I just don't understand this at all. I really don't. Yeah, and of course, by the way, I just want to let everybody know who may be asking, first of all, you need to understand that from a religious standpoint, I am not telling you that you need to believe religiously the same way that I do. That's ridiculous. That is against the Constitution and the American principles and values. However, that being said, there's a lot of misconceptions running around on the web with regards to the Bible and its covering of this subject. And a lot of people seem to believe wrongly, they seem to believe that the references to homosexuality being a sin, and, transgenderism as a topic being a sin only shows up in the Old Testament. It does not. It actually shows up in both places, both the New and the Old. And it's very clear that Jesus clearly states, well, I love you, but not your sin, which I've explained in the past. So, yeah. Anyway, all right. I still can't wrap my head around gymnastics. Well, one of the things that the left has been trying to show is that, hey, there are right-wingers that are doing, heinous things as well, political violence as well. Well, now we have some actual legal documents. We actually have legal documents now that prove the Kavanaugh assassin. If you recall, Brett Kavanaugh this guy got caught coming or attempting to enter Kavanaugh's home during that whole Dobbs decision time frame, and he went in to he was attempting to go in and kill Kavanaugh. He had rope and knives and all that other whatever kind of stuff that was there. Apparently, a lot of people have been kind of putting him up there as, hey, he's a right winger, and so the thing about this is that he actually is not a right winger. Exclusive documents obtained by the Daily Wire have now revealed that the Department of Justice is recommending that the 29-year-old who did this be sentenced to 30 years in prison for attempting to kill the Supreme Court justice in 2022. And this guy is saying that he is now going by the name Sophie, and his legal team will refer to him using female pronouns. So, and it was asking, according to a filing, that it was asking for the defense to not use this individual's legal name out of respect for the individual. Yeah. Oh. Now, a source familiar with the legal proceedings actually told the Daily Wire as well that this individual was using female identities online before the attempted murder. So, yeah. Here we go. Another mention of essentially what would be considered transgender violence against conservatives. I mean, realistically. So, anyway, just don't understand why. Anyway, so there you go. All right, let's see. Oh, hey, one more thing. I got two of them. I got one more thing before we take off, but here is another thing. That whole idea, that whole narrative that Trump is like, a racist and, hates blacks. And I mean, never mind the fact that before he decided to run for president as a Republican, He was honored by many black leaders, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, a whole bunch of them. Well, the Trump administration has now, according to the Post-Millennial, has now decided to dedicate $500 million from the slashed Department of Education funds and sending them off to historically black colleges. Wait. I thought he was against the blacks in this country. I thought that he was, racist and everything. But he's now dedicating $500 million to historically black colleges. Yeah. Well, the administration announced this on Monday, that it plans to direct the $500 million in new funding to historically black colleges and universities, as well as tribal colleges. Yeah. The administration is also directing money for initiatives such as $137 million for American history and civics education, and an additional $60 million for charter schools, according to a report by the New York Times. Again, I thought, at least according to the left, I thought Trump was racist and, bigoted and, and all these other, he was fascist, all these other things. Yeah, the proof is in the pudding, folks. It's right here in front of everybody. Yeah. Oh, so anyway. I don't know. The biggest cut to the department's budget, which, by the way, that's how they're paying for it, is they're cutting various parts of the education budget elsewhere, and they're reallocating those funds to these places. The biggest cut includes a $350 million program for minority students in science and engineering, as well as schools with significant Hispanic enrollment, and other grants intended for minority serving institutions. Additionally, the administration has cut money from gifted programs that arguably use racial targeting in recruitment. Yeah. Huh. So it's shifting money from programs that may not be doing what they should be to fund across the board to take care of the minorities, and giving that money to the minorities. Interesting. It's very interesting that they would even consider or again, Trump is supposed to be a racist. So, yeah. Anyway. Oh, these people. They just don't. Oh! And by the way, in the redistricting fight, we now have another state that has been legally, or that has been stated to legally require redistricting. So remember how I was telling you Texas had to redistrict by law. Then you have Missouri had to redistrict by law, because again, both of those lost cases to the Biden administration with regards to the Voting Rights Act and the claims that the gerrymandering that was done in basically done with regards to being racist. Well, now we have another one. A federal judge has ruled that maps from Alabama's largest county must be redrawn. So Alabama apparently has been waging court battles over its legislature's redistricting maps. And now the district judges have deemed they were in violation of the Voting Rights Act again. And with statewide and municipal races on the ballot in 2026, they certain groups now are trying to push to get to change the balance of power in one of Alabama's largest counties. So the redistricting stuff is still going on. The gerrymandering is still going on, and it currently will. All right, folks, I need to apparently, because my whiskey warriors, they keep me on track. I need to sing happy birthday to Kat Pekarik. So here we go. Before we close the show, of course. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kat Pekarik. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Happy birthday, Kat. Hopefully your day was spectacular and that your night is spectacular as well. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, don't forget, across all of my platforms, to hit those thumbs up, thumbs down, or as 3 Chevy wants to do, a thumbs sideways across X, YouTube, Facebook, and, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. Tomorrow night is Saturday. We've got 1 hour later. We'll see you at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.